Yeah, so session 3, aka session 1, really, really, really good session today. I'm very happy with where we ended up. It was really fun. We met together as a party. We are now a team, and we got the actual hook for the entire um, campaign. Huzzah! So I'm really happy. Um, And there were some really cool moments as well. Obviously, there are some nitpicking points, which I'll come to, but I think overall, solid A on the grading there. Yeah, top tier D&D. Very happy with how it went. Um, so let's start off. So it started off, funnily enough, a little bit slowly, but I kind of already anticipated that it would start there. If you remember in the last session, we were down. One of our party members wasn't there. And so we started the session with a little vignette with this party member who is a cleric, a healer, and basically was trying to find her way to the same beach that everybody else had found their way to in the last session. So she met with a group of people in the forest, and they were working for the king, and they had lots of like injured people, and she went and healed them, and then they helped to direct her to the beach, and blah 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 blah. Eventually she gets there, which is great. And at this point, the party slowly starts to meet up. So the first combination that happens is with Reswalin, our gnomish rogue, and he encounters Orgrim, the Goliath, who comes in. He's a lawyer. He's very smartly dressed, and he picks him out as someone that he can fleece for a lot of money. And so he makes contact with him. He takes him on a tour of the town. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this part. Like to see him play. And Orgrim is a bit confused, but he's kind of going along with it. And then there was some funny. It was meant to be funny, and I think it could have been funny, but it didn't quite land. There was this moment where they went to see a seamstress, a haberdashery, and the way that it had been played, it seemed as though the rogue was he needed a big strong man to come along with him and put pressure on her to give him some money. But in actual fact, it turned out her chimney was just blocked, and he needed a big, strong man to help unblock her chimney. It's a little bit weird. Came out of left field a little bit, but yeah, we rolled with it, and fun was had by all. And after that, they then in the tavern. Also, I should mention, the bard was there. He was just drunk in the tavern, and he came over and just started playing music for them, like one of those violinists in a restaurant that you pay to come over and serenade you. And he did. And then he just kind of stuck with them because he heard about this, the visions and the dreams that had brought them there. And so party kind of was forming here. And at about this point, my character Helix arrives into the town and doesn't encounter the party anyway, because he goes down to the beach because that's where his vision led him, looks around, not much there, talks to a fisherman. The fisherman says, because my character is looking for survivors of a monster attack, and I framed it as vaguely as possible. I was like, I'm looking for survivors of a monster attack, because I knew that Reswalin was exactly that. He was a survivor of a monster attack. Not the monster that I was looking for, a different monster. But if I just said, I'm looking for refugees, I was hoping that someone in the town would say, oh yes, we've got a refugee who washed up on shore a few weeks ago and he is in this tavern. Didn't end up happening. But regardless, I was kind of pointed towards the tavern, went there, They weren't there. I just went back and wandered around. And then after this, a dragon appeared in the town. And at this point, things really kicked off. It was a proper dragon, proper like ancient dragon. So it was obvious we were not supposed to win here. All of us felt compelled to come towards this dragon, and so we did. And we encountered it on the beach, the same beach as from our vision. And at this point, we had a big old fight, and it was quite fun because I got to play him in an interesting way. Because of course, from his point of view, he's had a vision of this beach. He's had a vision of this dragon. He's come here to this beach, to this dragon. There is nothing there that tells him this dragon's going to be evil or aggressive in any way. So he's he comes towards it very much like this. Like, I don't know who you are. I come in peace. This is the first time anybody has ever encountered a dragon in real life. They're like creatures from fairy stories in this world. And the dragon then just like tears into all of the villagers and attacks them, and breathes fire over me and knocks out like most of my hit points because I'm level 0. And at this point, I'm like, okay, this creature is definitely hostile. It's hostile, everybody. It's hostile. I'm last in the initiative order, by the way. Everyone else is already like attacking it, and I'm just like, all right, I figured it out. It's hostile. It's quite funny. Yeah, but it was just a really dynamic fight. I like it when fights kind of, yes, it was obvious we were supposed to lose, and yes, a couple of the members of the party got knocked out quite quickly, which probably sucked for them. But from my point of view, I got to ride a dragon, because after realizing that this dragon was hostile, I was then thinking, you know what? My character is really good with horses and animals. He has very high animal handling. He's better with animals than people. In his mind, right now, maybe he's thinking of this thing as being a bit like a wild horse that needs to be tamed. And so, Shadow of Colossus style, he runs on up the dragon. And it's really good because actually the DM had a proper massive dragon mini was there, so I was able to actually put my mini on top of it, which is quite fun. So he runs up it. I'm rolling the dice. They're rolling well for once. I get up it. The DM's very nice. He gives me an extra kind of action, even though my action was to mount it. So I'm like, okay, so I take out my rope, try and lasso it around the neck of the dragon. That doesn't quite pull off the way I wanted, but yeah, now I've got a dragon by ropes. Cool. And at this point, the fight really could have just gone on and on and on. There were a few more tricks I could have done. I was on top of the dragon. As I say, I got it by the reins, as it were, and I'm pulling it around, and it's clear that the dragon is just trying to flick me off. It's not interested in me. Honestly speaking, like if I were to do it properly, I probably should have been up there a few more rounds trying that, because like how long is a round in game time is like 6 seconds, right? So I'm up there for a round trying it out. Doesn't work, obviously, but this is slightly metagamey because I'm watching the rest of the party get wiped out, and they are rolling death saves, and I'm basically the only one left. There's like me and I think the Bard was up, and Orgrim, the Goliath, was struggling along on a couple of HP, just doing chip damage to this dragon. It's clear that we are not harming it at all. We are attacking it, but no real damage. So it's obvious we're meant to lose this fight. And I'm just like, you know what? Oh, that's the thing. In this campaign, we're rolling our death saves in secret, so no one knows how close the other people are to death. So one of the party, excuse me, the cleric, she'd rolled a couple of death saves by this point, and so I'm like, okay, let's just end this, because it's obvious it's a scripted battle. We're meant to die. So, as I say, I could have stayed up there longer. I had no reason to come down. I had bardic inspiration. I was on top of the dragon. I was not coming down, but I fast forwarded it a little bit. Jumped forward, bonked the dragon on the head, duck and roll, landed very elegantly on the floor. Dragon looks down at me. One shot, I'm down. So that was the fight with the dragon. And that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that because it was epic. And after the fight was over, we're all down on the ground, rolling death saves. And the dragon comes along, speaks some Draconic over us, and Draconic in this game is canonically Latin, a subject I did not study at school, so I don't know what he's saying. And he reaches down with his talon, and he plucks out our hearts, and he eats them. So he has eaten our hearts. And when we wake up, we are level 1, which is good. We've leveled up, huzzah. But we don't have a heart. We wake up in this strange room, all together. And we realize that where the heart used to be, there's a scar. And when you touch the scar, it actually glows, meaning we are now our own light sources, which is helpful if we don't have dark vision. No, but seriously, it was a very cool thing. We still seem to be alive. I deliberately checked my pulse. It seems to be beating, so we just don't have a heart. And what's more, we seem to remember a lot more of that flashback from last session, where we were human and all of that part. So I'm glad we remember a bit more of that. So yeah, we actually had a chance finally to meet as a party, and we all rolled, and I rolled the highest and woke up first. And so I went around and woke up the various members of the party, tried to find out how they are, who they are. And it's a cool moment, because we finally had a chance to kind of interact together. I tried to do a fun thing where I'll come on to this later, but there were a lot of disruptions in the session in general. It's the only negative, really, but it did mean that some moments, like for example, Reswalin's plan to have some funny moment with a lady in the chimney, and it just didn't work. And I had a funny moment planned too. Again, didn't quite work. Never mind, whatever. Basically, my character spoke to Reswalin in Gnomish. He spoke the only phrase of Gnomish that he knows. He doesn't know Gnomish. It's not one of his proficiencies. He knows Elvish. He used Elvish with Natalia to wake her up. He goes to Reswalin and he speaks Gnomish. One phrase that he knows. He speaks it in a very broken way because it's clearly the only phrase he knows. And he says, I am wearing women's underwear. And the joke is basically he thinks that what he's saying is peace be to you and your kin, because that's what he was told the expression means. But what he's actually saying is I am wearing women's underwear. It was taught to him by his father. So a little character moment there. But Reswalin played it that he decided that was thieves' cant I was talking in, which is completely like, okay, that's not what I was expecting, but fine. Okay, let's roll with that. Apparently I spoke thieves' cant to you. Okay. So now he's suspicious of me. Great. But yeah, the rest of the party got together. It was pretty as much as you would expect. We found out that we were in the home of the mayor, who had taken us to one side because, of course, we all had the same scar, and that was a bit weird. And so he'd taken us to one side, but there were lots of injured people in the town. We go out around the town, we find that it's been totaled, lots of people injured. We try and help as many people as we can, and there we basically get a quest, which is to go and try and get more healing herbs. to help the injured in town. There's also another quest that was being shouted out to Natalia, the cleric, during her vignette at the beginning. The Crown are looking for volunteers to go and hunt a worm, which is dragon adjacent, so that's interesting. Now, the interesting thing is both of those quests were given to Natalia. She's the only character in game that knows about either or both of those things, because my character was not with her for either of those. So right now, the way things are, the party is split. I am with Reswalin. I followed him to the haberdashery just to check that everything's okay there. He was very concerned about the old lady that runs it. And Natalia the cleric, and a couple of others went to the beach. So I believe right now Natalia is the only character in the party who actually has both of the quests. Obviously, outside the game, we're just talking about them. Like, oh, yeah, we could go do that. But in game, I'm pretty sure Natalia will have to take the lead on this and deciding which way we go. So yeah, that's kind of the session, and it was, on paper quite a simple one. It was literally party arrives in town, dragon attacks, kills everybody, everyone wakes up, party gets together again. It was a very straightforward session, but sometimes that's all you need. We got together, some fun was had by all, and we're off to adventure. The only negatives that I would call out were not on the DM side, actually. It was on the party side. There were, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of disruptions in this session. We're playing in a pub at the moment, and it's a very nice pub, very nice atmospheric, very old building, so it looks like a tavern that you might go to in D&D, which is cool. And we've got this little room to ourselves, which is really nice, and we can set it up the way that we want it. But they do table service, and I don't know what it is, but the group certainly seems to be increasing its consumption of liquids and food over the course of... We've been there for a few weeks now. I think in the first week, everyone just had a couple of drinks, and then during the break, they'd get a couple more, and that was fine. But now it just seems that every time you get into a flow, every time that you're in the moment and you're kind of picturing what's going on, and the DM is giving a description, or you're trying to have a cool character moment, every single time someone comes in, who ordered this lemonade? God damn it. It's so frustrating for me personally, because I'm not there to drink, I'm not there to eat. I'm there to play a game, and it really frustrates me, these things. Randomly, the room will start playing music because someone will have turned the music thing on. Randomly, a light will turn off at one point on the wall because someone accidentally turned the lights off in the room. It was just constant disruptions. And then towards the end, because people have been drinking so much, people kept leaving the table to go to the toilet. And then you're down a couple of party members, and you're like, well, I was about to give a cool character moment that reveals something about myself, but now I'm not sure if I can because two of the people are missing from the table, so maybe I should save it. Little things like this, very frustrating. And I'd say also, another thing that I've noticed about us as a party is that if we get bored or if we get frustrated, we tend to become a little bit silly. And I'm including myself on this, I'm just as much to blame. And I know that when I was in the DM chair, it used to really annoy me. And so I'm sure it annoys the current DM as well, who, to his credit, is just rolling with it. But, making kind of snide remarks and jokes and just everything the sexual innuendo. Like, I don't know. Grow the fuck up, It really irks me. So that's the only negative I would say. Uh, and it's a small one, you know. I know it's a price to pay. Everyone plays the game differently. Everyone gets their enjoyment in different ways. I know not everybody shares the same biology that I have. I am basically half camel, I think, because I basically only go to the toilet once a day, apparently. Um, yeah, so not everyone is like that. You know, I get it. And so this is really just, it's something that I need to just deal with myself. Um, Rather than kind of making it a big thing at the table. But it does annoy me, the constant interruptions. I don't know, like if we could maybe just do it that people order drinks at the beginning and then order drinks in the middle during the break, I think that would be fine. But it's just the constant, like, people go, oh, I'm just making another order, does anyone want anything? Like, no, I don't want anything from there. I want to listen to the DM. He's telling us a story. I don't know, that's just me. So yeah, so great session overall. It really was. And don't think that these niggles are taken away from that. The DM did a great job. Really well done. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what happens. I think there's a lot of potential with my character. Still haven't quite settled on the voice for my character, I'll be honest. I'm trying to go for a deeper register, but my natural inclination, whenever I go to a deeper register, it gets an edge to it. So my natural way of talking low, I kind of talk like this, and I don't really want to have this hard attack onto it, you know? I kind of sound like General Martok in Star Trek, and I don't want a General Martok. I want a Worf. So I want to be more like this, you know, so lower register, but not with this hard edge onto it. So it's actually quite hard to pull my voice back like that, and I don't know, I haven't quite settled on where it needs to be. I think overall it's going to end up being somewhere in between like this, which is okay. It's fine. I don't have a particularly deep voice, so there we go. So yeah, overall, really good, and excited to see where it goes from there. So yeah, see you next time.